Now this is an 8-minute segment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is his achievements. Yeah, that's
Okay.
good. That's good to have all of those in one spot.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
So what did Obama do? Well, he did. That's what I like. Yes.
Yeah.
How's the weather out there? Is it still?
Oh man, it's hot out there.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
I wanted to go fishing, but I'm not going to be able to do that this
you a
evening.
fisherman?
Oh man.
Oh no.
Do a lot of fishing, man.
Oh yeah, you do.
Marbone Lake, Old Hickory Lake.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Old Hickory Dam.
Do you ever catch anything?
Oh yeah. A lot of cat and brim and
Oh yeah.
bass. Yeah.
So you're a real fisherman.
Crappie.
Huh?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh man, I know my experience with fishing was going out way out in the woods with my uncle.
I see.
And he decided that he will not leave until he used all the baits. And then he's up there on that end fishing, and I'm on this end throwing in the baits.
I see.
So I was ready to go. Yeah. But yeah, I used to go out and I used to stay all day long, go early in the morning.
Oh, that's what
late at night.
and come in late at night.
Late at
Yes,
night.
That's right. I go up to Marbone Lake in Ashland City. It's sort of up in the mountains, and deer will come stand right by you. Of course, there are a lot of snakes up there.
30 seconds.
This is the second segment, right? Okay. And so you're going to deal with achievements.
Yeah, achievements, yeah.
Thank you and welcome back to the second segment of the show for today. We're talking to Dr. Lewis Baldwin from Vanderbilt University, and the topic is the legacy of President Barack Obama. Now, Dr. Baldwin, before we had our first commercial break, I think we promised that we'll give you an opportunity to talk about President Obama from the position of some of his achievements during his presidency.
Exactly.
Let's talk about
I mentioned earlier that the election of Obama was probably the most historic event in this 21st century. We are early into this century. But right after he was elected in 2009, he signed the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act, which of course guaranteed the right of women to sue for pay equity. So right off the bat, from the beginning of his tenure as president, he made a move that improved the position and the status of women in our society. In 2010, of course, he came up with the Affordable Health Care, Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, as we call it, which was designed to provide low-cost, affordable, quality health care for all Americans. So he moved us along the course of universal health care. And you know from our previous conversations that Dr. King had always said, Martin Luther King Jr., that in order to become the true expression of the American dream, we had to provide universal health care for all people. And Obama made that move with the Affordable Care Act. And of course, later, of course, he came up with the Iran nuclear deal, which was designed to prevent Iran from coming up with a nuclear weapon. Comprehensive investigations, inspections to make sure that Iran did not have a nuclear weapon. And recently, of course, he's done a lot in terms of reestablishing diplomatic relations with Cuba. Him and his wife in March of this year went to Cuba, and he made it clear that he's interested in engaging and empowering the Cuban people, moving them toward democracy, toward prosperity, toward a stable nation. So he's made contributions in that area as well. In terms of the LGBT community, as you well know, a lot is being said now about the LGBT community. President Obama passed a number of pieces of legislation to prevent hate crime.
Okay, good.
Not only on the basis of race, but on the basis of gender and sex orientation. He repealed the Don't Ask, Don't Tell legislation. So he's been active in that regard as well. He's done a lot in terms of advancing the freedoms of not only black people, but LGBT people, Muslim people, people of other racial and ethnic backgrounds. I think he's done more than any other president in my lifetime to advance the freedoms of various peoples in our society, ethnic groups, racial groups, religious groups, etc.
And so in a real sense, his administration has been one that moved America forward in a real sense.
Toward the realization of the American dream. And I think he's often said that he's a product of the legacy of Martin Luther King Jr. And I think he stood squarely in that legacy in terms of promoting civil liberties and the rights of all peoples, irrespective of race, ethnic background, gender, religious orientation. He's been about advancing the freedoms and the civil liberties of people.
You know, I'm glad you said that, Dr. Baldwin, because when you look at what is going on around the world today, you find that there is still a great need in terms of having a person with the sensitivity of a Barack Obama in the White House. And so while he might be leaving, we can still look at some of the things that he was able to accomplish and recognize that there's quite a bit to build on.
Exactly. Not only on the domestic level, but on the global level. I think Obama, more than any other president in recent times, has been able to engage the challenges of globalization. And globalization has put certain demands on us in terms of how we relate to other countries, in terms of how we relate to peoples of different ethnic and racial and national backgrounds. And I think he's been able to engage the process of globalization on those levels.
As well as the environment. That's one of the things that I think about all the time when you talk about globalization and et cetera. This whole idea of climate change and climate warming and et cetera. And he's been quite active in that.
Getting together with nations like China and other nations to address the issues of climate change and other issues relative to globalization. So he's been, I think, a president with a global consciousness. And I think that's very, very important in these times because we're living in the 21st century and globalization is it's about what's going on in our world and how we relate to the world. We are, as Dr. King said in 1968, as Obama says today, we as peoples of the world are interrelated, interconnected, and interdependent. And I think Obama has addressed that in terms of his approach to public policy and international relations.
Very good. And so in a real sense, while the president has served almost his 2 terms. What do you see as some of the things that might be left? What about voting? See, that's
yes, I think he has addressed to some extent voting rights. We know that the efforts to restrict voting, voter suppression on the part of many of the southern states especially, Obama has sought to address that issue primarily through his Attorney General, Loretta Lynch, and before Loretta Lynch, of course, the other Attorney General whose name
Holder,
But he sought to address that issue, and that's an issue I think that needs to be addressed more in the future. But I think he has laid the foundation for that. And he's very much concerned about maintaining the one person, one vote model, which is essential to our democracy, and I think his legacy will be carried on with the next president, hopefully, if that president is a Democratic president, then
that legacy will continue. But if not, there might not be a legacy. But I'm optimistic, and I think the country is optimistic in reference to that. So what we're going to do, we're going to take this second commercial break, and we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break. Probably got about 10 and a half minutes. 10 and a half. Did I go out early? Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I know.
I'll have a little extra.
Yeah, okay.
Eric Holder, I was trying to think.
Eric, yeah, Holder.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we'll deal with the legacy. We'll continue
That's right.
the legacy,
What-
and so we'll have
what
10
would be
minutes and 20-some seconds on that. Is that right?
Yep.
10, and so you know you got a lot of time.
Okay.
Baldwin, and that's your time.
Yeah, we'll talk about a number of things that I have in mind.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's as long as it can give us 10 minutes. That's what we 10 minutes and 20 seconds.
You've been with
is
this thing a long time, haven't you?
Oh man, since 1984.
Oh man, that's what, 32 years?
Yeah, 19 years.
32 years.
I hate to count it up. But
32
I know
years.
That's when it started.
84, 90.
Yeah.
84, 90.
Now we'll know what got me started. Dr. Frederick Humphreys. I got to tell you that story one day. Yes. I got a minute and 10 minutes and 10 seconds. Got good time. Got good time. Thank you and welcome back to the final segment of the show for today. We're talking to Dr. Lewis Baldwin, and the topic is the legacy of President Barack Obama. Okay, Dr. Baldwin, let's see if we can pick up during this last segment to deal in a real sense with the legacy, his legacy. What did he leave and what will he leave behind over the next 10 minutes?
I think that legacy can be evaluated on a national level and on an international level. President Obama has really contributed to the advancement of the